Hi everyone, welcome back. So most of the stuff that I cover on this channel is American media, right? And there's good reason for that. American TV shows and movies tend to have a much wider, more international audience, and as a result, a lot more people remember those things. And so when I make a video, a lot more people are likely to know that thing that I'm talking about. That's also helped partially by the fact that more than half of my viewers are from the United States. And also apparently I have lots of viewers in like Mexico and Norway, which just seem like really specific countries to have a lot of viewers in. So if you're from either of those two countries, hey, how's it going? But today I thought I'd cover something British for a change, because in case you didn't know, well, I am British. So in the UK, one of the main kids channels is called CBBC, which is the children's BBC channel. And throughout the 2000s, there was a show on CBBC that I used to watch a lot called Raven. And that show was honestly great. Way better than anything you'd expect from a show on that channel at the time. And so in this video, I want to talk about what I think is probably one of the greatest kids game shows, maybe of all time. Well, that intro was a little intense. So Raven was a sort of fantasy adventure game show, meaning that while the challenges the contestants do are real, there's a lot of fictional elements to it all, with the whole show taking place in this Tolkien-like world, otherwise known as rural Scotland. The contestants on the show are referred to as warriors, and they're taking part in this thing called the Ravens Tournament, which is named after this guy, Raven, who, now I'm thinking about it, looks a lot like Jon Snow.
Welcome to the Ravens Tournament. A chance for these 6 young warriors to prove their true worth. I did not choose them. They came to me. Let us hope they have the strength to survive my challenges.
Hold on, what do you mean strength to survive? What does that mean, Raven? Do people die on this show? Is that what you're trying to get across here? So the premise for the show is that the kids are competing to prove their worth as the ultimate warrior. 6 kids come on the show and are slowly eliminated over the course of the week until there are only 2 finalists. That happens 2 more times until you end up with a group of 6 finalists, who again compete over the course of a week until finally only 1 warrior remains. Well, I mean, they're not killed or anything, you know, despite what Raven might say. No, they just go home.
Before the sun is set 5 times, 4 of you will return to your homes. Only 2 can survive to face the final round of my tournament. But before you can travel with me, I must know more about you. I must know what is in your hearts.
Gal, you are strong and competitive.
I mean, win isn't the most important thing, but I literally do anything to win.
Yeah, I mean, winning isn't everything, you know, it's no big deal, but I will destroy every last one of these kids. I don't care what it takes, because I'm here, and I'm ready. For some reason in this show, they never let the kids use their real names. Like, they gave them weird fancy names made up of letters from their name, so that's why you end up with weird names like, you know, Gala, or Hadan, or Jeremy.
Hadan, you are fearless. I wonder if you have all the skills needed to become a champion.
I think I'll be pretty bummed if I don't make it to the final round and if I get knocked out before the end of the week. But who wouldn't?
Yeah, he's totally not getting through, is he? Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing here, to be honest. Like, my parents told me it would be a fun weekend away, but we seem to be in a forest with like this strange man that only talks in riddles, and I can't tell if that's his real hair or if it's dyed. So the challenges that make up the bulk of the show are actually fairly simple when you deconstruct them, but they all have this fantasy element to make them seem more mystical. Like, they have a game of true or false, except you're being pursued by demons, or a stacking game, except a volcano is erupting at the same time. One of the challenges is literally just a piñata, except they've added this really fake looking VFX fire.
Now, your first challenge is to find your standard. The standard symbolises a life for the warrior, and without it, you cannot compete in my tournament. So do not fail me. Now, they lie deep within the forest. Find your standard and bring it here to me, but be warned. There are demons lurking in the shadows, and if you stray from the path, you will be in great danger.
Oh no, those guys aren't the demons. In fact, I'm not sure who they are, actually. does anybody know how they got onto set? So in the very first challenge of the first episode, the warriors have to find clues hidden around a forest that will lead them to their warrior standards. And they have to avoid the demons, who are basically just these hooded crew members that have the ability to, I guess, send the kids to the shadow realm. I feel like the demons were always the weirdest part of this show. They're basically these grown adults that are hiding their identities and chasing kids around a forest. Anyway, the warrior standards are these big staffs that the warriors carry around over the course of the show that contain their lives and their treasure rings. Each time a warrior fails a challenge, they lose a life, and if they lose all their lives, they get eliminated from the show. If they succeed, they usually win a treasure ring, and you can use a certain number of those treasure rings to essentially buy back a life. And the warrior that risks being eliminated from the show altogether is the one that ends the episode with the fewest lives.
Where are Into and Dala? Are they not with you?
I don't know. I mean, you were supposed to be watching us, right? You're the responsible adult, Raven. We're 12.
Losing your way in the forest has cost you your first life. But do not despair. My heart tells me the road we will walk together is long, and you will face many more challenges.
Look how distraught she looks. This was her big moment to make a great first impression to the guy in the bird costume, and she failed.
Come, we have many miles to go, and the sun is still young in the sky.
Or, you know, you could just say it's the morning. The show continues in this format where you have a set number of challenges per episode. The different series had different challenges, and some of them are more interesting than the others, so I thought at this point in the video I'd just give a brief rundown of some of the better challenges in the show. So basically, the challenges can be divided into two main categories. You've got the physical, outward bound type challenges, you know, like treetop courses and swimming races, and various climbing and obstacle courses. And then you've got the challenges that are more based around thinking, like quizzes and riddles and stuff like that. Like for example, in the first series, there's a challenge where you have to answer a riddle that's given to you by a troll behind a door.
The troll's riddle. Let's see what he has in store for us today.
So you're just gonna snatch it from my hand? There's also a challenge where you have to fight each other with these giant squishy sticks that I really don't know what they're called, and you have to knock each other off a pole. But these are 12-year-old kids, so instead of this being some sort of super aggressive face-off, it kind of just looks like this.
Taking too long, young warriors.
There's a lot of water challenges as well, which is funny because this is Scotland, so the water's like freezing cold. So you have Raven explaining the next challenge while all the while the kids are just standing there trying not to get hypothermia. Demon Causeway was a challenge on the show that we used to recreate in school when I was maybe 9 or 10. It's basically where you stand on a big chessboard and you and the demons take it in turns to take one step at a time, and you have to get to the other side of the board before the demons can stand on the same square as you and obliterate you from existence. You know, fun playground games. When you really think about it, aside from a lot of the treetop stuff, most of the challenges in Raven were really tame. Mostly just stuff you'd be able to do in a playground, or maybe like a school fair at most. You know, it's no Takeshi's Castle. You're not watching kids break their necks on the skipping stones. And I think if that was all there was to the show, it wouldn't have been remembered so fondly. But there is a particular part of the show that I haven't mentioned yet, that among former Raven viewers is legendary. Something that everybody who grew up watching Raven on TV wanted to do so badly. I am, of course, talking about Way of the Warrior.
The warriors have struggled courageously and with skill, and so far, the company remains together. But they have known from the outset that eventually one of them must face elimination. This is that time and that place. Welcome to the Way of the Warrior.
At the end of most episodes of the show, barring of course the first and last episodes of the series, one warrior had to be sent home. The way that this was of course decided was by how many lives the warriors had left. But the warrior with the fewest lives wasn't actually sent home immediately, but instead given a chance to save themselves. And to do that, all they had to do was complete the Way of the Warrior. This was a really cool obstacle course that must have been the most expensive part of the show. If the contestant got through Way of the Warrior without falling off the path or getting hit by this big rolling pin thing, then they advanced to the next day of the show and regained a life. And then the next person with the fewest lives had to do it, and you kept going until someone got eliminated. Okay, easy. So I guess all I have to do is just step through here and then I'll... Oh. Can I have another go? The Way of the Warrior was notoriously difficult. In fact, over the course of the show's 10 series run, only 4 contestants ever finished it. And watching this on TV all those years ago, it always felt like Way of the Warrior was just a certainty that the person was gonna get eliminated. To give you an idea of how rare an occurrence it was, I only ever remember seeing somebody complete it one time. I also just wanted to do it so badly. I would have given anything to do Way of the Warrior. And on the show, it was presented in just this legendary way that really hyped up the mythos of it all.
At the end of the Golden Path is a portal which will take you through to the next stage of the quest. Should you reach it, you will survive to battle another day. It will then be Venzo's turn to face the blades and boulders. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Then may the Raven's luck be with you. Let the challenge begin.
Let's go. Also, one of the YouTube comments pointed out that you can see a crew member in the shot right here. To be honest, this was probably one of the best parts for the crew. They just got to watch a bunch of kids being battered around. Other than Way of the Warrior, there was also another really cool final showdown. In the final episode of each series, the remaining 2 or 3 warriors have to face off in a final challenge aptly named The Last Stand, with the winner of that challenge winning the whole show. And I'll let Raven introduce this one.
Grandma, Varna, you have been here before, and you know the dread that hangs over this place. Even Raven cannot protect you here, for this is the dominion of Navar.
So, the villain of the show is called Navar, right? And he's the arch nemesis of Raven. So, Navar, Raven, Navar. I think I see a pattern here. Most of the clips I've used so far are taken from Raven's first series. I think while it's clear that in those episodes the show isn't too sure of itself yet, it does do a good job of introducing the concepts of the show for the purposes of this video. But there is a downside to it where some of the challenges in that first series are a bit more boring than some of the later episodes, particularly the final challenge. In the first series, all they really had to do was solve a riddle, but it wasn't until the later series that it got, shall we say, a lot more interesting.
Scattered across the field of combat are the fragments of 2 magical keys. You must collect the fragments, assemble them, and place the key in the lock. The portal will then briefly open. The first warrior to pass through the portal will become the ultimate champion. In this final challenge, your remaining lives are of crucial importance. Grandma, you have 4 lives left.
If Navar strikes you 4 times, then you will be eliminated.
Varna, you have 3 lives, so you cannot afford to be hit 3 times.
Yep, those are paintball masks they're wearing. And the best part is that the kids don't have any paintball guns. But guess who does? How was this allowed on a CBBC show? I know in the context of the show, Navar's just firing lightning bolts at them, but according to the Raven Wiki, yeah, there is a Raven Wiki. There's a wiki for everything, haven't you seen my last video? According to the Raven Wiki, Navar genuinely did use paintball guns to shoot the contestants. So in this show, you have a grown adult standing on top of a platform, shooting paintballs at a bunch of unarmed 12-year-olds. So, how do you think I get that guy's job? In series 4 onwards, the paintball element at The Last Stand was dropped in favour of replacing the entire thing with an obstacle course, which ultimately did look a lot more fun and probably a lot safer for the kids too. But there's something about the paintballs that I just find so funny. The warrior that completes the challenge first wins the show and becomes Raven's ultimate warrior. In the later series, they won their own Staff of Power, and in the first series they won a holiday, which might seem like a bad deal for everyone in the later series, but think about it. Holiday, Staff of Power, trip to the Bahamas, shooting lightning bolts. And with that, that's the end of Raven. Raven was a really great show, but definitely still a product of its time and budget. When I was younger, going on Raven seemed like the coolest thing ever. And to be honest, it kinda still does. But looking back on it now and being able to see through the production of the show, it's not quite as spectacular as I remember. The visual effects especially have really not aged well. Raven was also hugely popular. Its original run lasted 10 series and recently also received a short-lived revival. It also created 3 spin-offs: Raven the Island, Raven the Dragon's Eye, and Raven the Secret Temple, which for some reason takes place in India. It's also still got a sizable fan base of people that remember the show fondly. That can be seen simply by the fact that the Wikipedia pages for the show are surprisingly detailed. Thanks for watching me talk about Raven. This was a show I really enjoyed when I was younger, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing me talk about it. If you also grew up watching Raven, or you're just discovering the series for the first time, you'll be happy to know that the entire series is available to watch on YouTube. If you know of another old CBBC show, or anything else for that matter that you'd like me to cover next, please let me know. But for now, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, I'm really happy to be the new Ultimate Warrior. A lot of the challenges were really hard, but I'm glad I got through them. Also, Haddam was zapped by the demons a few days ago and nobody's seen him since, so what's up with that?